Oh, the meltdown is real. But first of all, we need to talk about Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor tells us a little bit of what happened in training last week to get that result at the weekend. We talk about Kris Sutton. Kris Sutton bigs up the manager and what happened on the pitch. And Kris Boyd has another complete meltdown and has a dig, believe it or not, has a dig at the defence, the Celtic defence, at the weekend with Michael Beale on the verge of being sacked at Christmas time. We'll talk about all that today. Big thank you to the brand new 220 subscribers that we had yesterday. Thank you for joining the channel. Absolutely love the fact that we got so many subscribers yesterday. We are trying to hit 15,000 before we play them again in December. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, and make sure you hit the notification bell so that you see the notifications when we go live on this channel, because we do go live quite a lot. So first up, we talk about Callum McGregor. Callum said there was a little bit of difference in training last week, and he said, to a man, everyone that came on the pitch at the weekend were absolutely terrific. He said everyone played their part in the victory. He said the result was all due to a slight alteration in the approach in training last week, says captain Celtic Callum McGregor. He said, look, we probably simplified things this week. He said, we might have been guilty over the last couple of weeks about the formation overload. At times with a young group of players it can be difficult. You've got to remember the average age of this team is only 21-year-old. When you look at the average age of Martin O'Neill's team, that was 29. When you look at the average age of Brendan Rodgers' team first time around, it was around about 25, 26. The fact that this team achieved so much with so many players out injured with the average age only 21 was fantastic. Callum says we tried to strip back and use a more simplistic model and then layer it up from there. And at this point I want to get you to go back to the videos at MELTDOWN on Celtic TV on YouTube and look at them last week, and that'll give you a little indication to what actually happened on the pitch. And it was amazing because they actually transferred it from the training field onto the pitch, and it was brilliant. Players are having to adapt, says Callum. He says they're learning a new style from the new manager. He says that can be difficult for young players over the last few weeks. However, more importantly, we changed things. We drilled less information into the boys last week, and that proved productive on the field. He says securing the victory was significant. McGregor stressed how important and pivotal it is to go forward. There's no point winning at Ibrox and then coming back after the international break and not playing at the same tempo and not doing the exact same thing on the pitch. He says we spoke about it in the changing room. Hopefully this can be a springboard to kick us on in the league. Although Celtic players are on international duty this week, there'll be a rest for some players, but they need to come back. They need to come back in 2 weeks' time against Dundee, who are visitors to Parkhead, and the fans at the stadium need to get right behind the team. Nothing but 3 points will be acceptable in that game. Kris Sutton has also been talking about the weekend still. He says, Brendan Rodgers lapped up the win. He said it was a huge moment for him. In the media, they had him on death watch in the media. Some fans did say that if we got beat, the pressure would be on him. But I mean, I did say I thought we would go with a 2-1 win. I thought it would draw at a minimum the way that this team was playing, and let's face it, they're not that good. But he said this in his paper column: Celtic played very well in the first half, but could do so. They dug in, they fought. The second was a bit different. And it seems to lie the difference between where championships are won and lost. Celtic adjusted and found a way, with all contributing Callum McGregor and Joe Hart as leaders. Now it's fantastic the way that no one's talking about this, the way that Brendan Rodgers has changed the way that Joe Hart's playing his football. He's back playing his football like an old school goalkeeper. The way that he's played his game his whole career. Ange Postecoglou changed it where he was kicking the ball outside, and it was dreadful sometimes. We were trying to pull teams out towards us, but let's face it, it was giving us absolute heart attack moments. The fact that Joe Hart now, when the goal came from Joe Hart kicking the ball out, and the Rangers defender heading it back, then Matt O'Reilly heads it back, and Keogh's up there on the back of the defence, where he should be, running on the back line of the defence, and he's got the pace to get in front of the defenders. Excellent ball by O'Reilly, absolutely fantastic ball, and it suggested that Leeds are still looking at him after his performance at the weekend. Liam Scales, Sutton went on to say, he said he was superb, absolutely superb. He kept things simple, and that's what impressed big Chris Sutton. It reminds him of the time that Martin O'Neill told him in training before a Glasgow derby that he was playing centre-half. Yes, Celtic fans, the big striker one time played centre-half for Celtic at Ibrox. Because back then as well, sometimes we had injuries, and even Martin O'Neill had to put a striker in defence. He said the way that Rodgers wants to play this silky football will come. It'll come in time. But the weekend was not time for silky football. It was about keeping it simple, keeping the passing simple, keeping it quick and to the point, which players did. He says when you're missing players that were missing, the boys like Scales rose to the occasion, says Big Kris Sutton. And he says, look, Rangers flopped all over the pitch. He said they had the chance to take Celtic at the weekend, but they never. Celtic will accept that performance. They'll also accept that they will go into top gear at some point in this season when they get everyone back fit. He said, look, he says, a little dip in form at the beginning of the season is acceptable. He said, to be honest, Brendan Rodgers was the best candidate after Ange Postecoglou left for the big money of Spurs. You know, some are still needing convinced that Brendan Rodgers is the man for the job. I think personally he was the best candidate and he's the only way we could have went forward. Going to Ibrox under the circumstances that the manager did, without able to bring in Phillips, without able to bring in Carter Vickers, without having Hatate, just to name a few, never mind the players that have left during the summer, was absolutely amazing that we did get that result. Chris Sutton then goes on to say, listen, he says the Champions League is where it's going to matter for Celtic. It's going to be a big test for the manager. He said fans will want to see progress. They will not want to see the same results as they did last year. Look, they have to make a dent into Atletico Madrid, Lazio and Feyenoord. That's going to be hard enough. But Celtic need to make some inroads, and that's where it will matter this season. Now let's move on to the big pie munching man from Kelly. Kris Boyd. Kris Boyd says, he said, this is hilarious because they're actually talking about that Beale might get till Christmas now. But listen to this. You have to listen to this, Celtic fans. He actually said that they said there's not a lot to separate the two teams. Michael Beale keeps reminding us this. He says, yet I agree with him. Celtic keep coming out on top. Isn't it the fact that they have to try and find a way of saying it's their fault that they lost, rather than saying, look, Celtic actually won the game. The better team won. The only time that they won last year, and this is what Chris Sutton also says, it's hilarious. The meltdown from him has been absolutely unbelievable this week. He says, look, they were there for the taking at the weekend. Listen to this. He said, even I would have fancied myself to score against that back four. Come on, how many goals tell me in the comments, how many goals big pie munching Kris Boyd scored against Celtic when he played for Kilmarnock and he played for Rangers. More importantly, how many goals did he score for Rangers against Celtic? If you don't know, nipwa. Anyway, he went on to say, he said, look, he said, only James Tavernier and Roof look like scoring just now. He says, given all the money they have spent, Michael Beale, lucky man, will not mention that this season. I wonder who'll be the first one to come and say, yeah, Beale, you're a lucky man. But we won't. Nobody will in the league. Anyway, he says, look, given the money they've spent on reinforcements, it's a sad indictment. You know, it's sad. It's sad. Beale will be able to survive. I told you I'd give the laugh last to the end. Them who laugh last, laugh the longest, they say. Beale will survive until the end of the year to get another crack at defeating Celtic in a meaningful match. We all know that he did beat us last season, but he did not beat us in a meaningful match. He beat us once the league was won and once the manager last season put out all the players that were just in the squad. You know, he rested quite a lot of players to see what the squad was like. And I know Michael Beale is in very dangerous territory, he says. A collective of losses. People have lost faith in the manager and his revamped squad following the defeat to Celtic. He said, look, things have to change. Things have to change. People have a lack of faith in Beale. And you were lucky to see the new year out as Rangers manager. So on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when the lives come on the channel. If not, just check the channel every couple of hours and you'll see when they come up. So on that note, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the